Hello everyone, and welcome to a webcomic review, just for fun. This one in particular is a webtoon called Paranormal Panic. And chances are you've never heard of it, because that's just how webtoons is. They vary a lot of comics. It's very difficult to find actual creators posting new webcomics. Usually they only want to show you the popular webcomics. I managed to find this pure chance. I saw it on a social media post, and I thought, the art doesn't look that bad for like an indie webtoon. I want to check it out. It has an overall pretty strong start. And basically it's about this guy who throughout his entire life has been obsessed with the paranormal. And because of that, he's kind of grown up to be known as the weird kid. In a way, he kind of reminds me of Dib from Invader Zim. And of course, he's never had any real luck capturing any monsters or aliens until one day he actually sees a spaceship. And not too long after that, new girl joins the classroom who is half alien, and the two of them end up befriending each other. Now, looking at the art style, you can tell that they're going for more anime influences, kind of mixed with more modern cartoonish, very flowy, very exaggerated. You can tell that they took a lot of inspiration from Cartoon Network's Starfire for the half alien girl. As for the guy, they kind of make him look like the typical anime main character with light brown hair and green braces. I do have to question the thought behind making the braces very circular and green. Obviously, the color green is typically associated with sickly and unhealthy type things, so it's not a color I would particularly want to put on teeth. And just the fact that the braces are circular instead of maybe being square can kind of make it look like he has holes in his teeth sometimes. So I do kind of question the design choice in that regard. I do know that they are obviously going for a mostly green color for the main character, while going for a mostly reddish orange color for the girl character. But overall, I'd say the art is pretty good for what it is. I think in a lot of cases when it comes to these webtoons, it's more expected for the art to be downplayed or for the page count to be downplayed, because naturally if you're going to make really detailed or fully colored art like this, it's going to take more time. If you're going to have a lot of pages in chapter by chapter updates, that's going to take a lot of time. And I believe it's a team of 2 people doing this comic together, one writing it, one putting the art together, and you can tell that the artist is putting in a lot of work to make this comic look really nice. As for the plot itself, it starts off kind of slice of life-ish, but you get the impression that later on they're going to meet more aliens and perhaps get into shenanigans or fights down the line. Going back to the fact that it has nice art, a decent page count per update, the updates in turn can be pretty slow, or at least slow for a webtoon. Usually it seems like they update once per month, which I don't have a problem with personally, but the webtoon algorithm has a problem with it, which is unfortunate. Yeah, typically on Webtoon, they want you to upload once per week, which I understand is completely ridiculous to have like nice art, fully colored, a decent page count per update, and then update once per week, which is usually why you'll get a lot of webcomics where they're uploading 1 page per update. And if you're expected to upload every week, I guess it makes sense to only do like 1 page updates. But it's also a little bit silly. I don't mind monthly updates. The main thing with me is I just want a bit of consistency, so I know like around what time I should be expecting the next chapter to be. I've definitely had a lot of web series that I followed that I would forget about because they would never update on time. Also, something creative they did with the little icons they used. You see that they make up a full picture per every 3. Yeah, so that's a full picture. And then this will be a full picture once the next chapter updates. That's pretty clever. I like that. Getting into the writing. There's a lot about this webtoon that feels like it's written organically, like they're just kind of figuring out what happens bit by bit. Maybe they have like some ideas, some vague ideas for what they eventually want to do, and in a future chapter, but overall they're just going inch by inch, which is a very Webtoon-like way of writing. And I think that way of writing is usually fine if you're like going for something slice of life-ish or comedy based, especially if you're just doing those one-page updates. Usually the problems that I have when it comes to organic writing come when an author wants to write a serious or long-going story arc, because I think that when you're writing organically, you might not really think ahead and it could lead to some inconsistencies. And if you're going for something that should be taken more seriously rather than just slice of life or one-page update type stuff, people will notice some plot holes and they're not going to enjoy it. Honestly, one of the best things that you can do with a Webtoon is make it simple. But there are definitely a lot of people who see Webtoon as this free platform where they can just upload their comic, and they see potential in webcomics, and honestly, when it comes to webcomics, there's not really a ton of potential there unless you pay Webtoon to advertise your comic for you. The other way that you get noticed on Webtoon is that you really push it through social media. If you have a social media gathering in general, they're going to read your webcomic, but then you don't really need to post it on Webtoon. You could post it anywhere. So, the last and probably the best way you get noticed on Webtoon is if you work for Webtoon, because they always push their own people through the categories. I hear that Tapas is somewhat better when it comes to recommending actual new people uploading, because they actually have a section for new comics where they actually let you go through and see what has just been uploaded. And I do think that that is better, because there's a lot of times where I want to see like new comics made by people that I've never heard of. And Webtoon is not very good at showing me those comics. I have trouble finding actual new uploaded comics on Webtoon. They just want to show me the popular stuff. They just want me to browse through genres and only show me the ones with millions of views. Everyone else gets kind of brushed under a rug. It almost makes me wonder if comics like these would do better if they reformatted it and maybe try to sell it on Comixology, which, you know, is all part of the reason why I have my own website where I sell digital downloads of my comics. And I post some free comics on there too, but I don't really rely on those free comics to make ad revenue. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention, the description for this Webtoon, pretty awkward description. I remember reading it the first time and like not understanding what this Webtoon was about at all. I'll read it out loud to you because you've heard me explain what this Webtoon is about. Now hear it from the description, because you'll notice it's very different. Renato Gomes, also known by his old weeb internet handle Shigon, a name that makes him cringe whenever he hears it, has a part-time night job as a waiter, which he got to afford his hobbies, but lately he has been very disillusioned about them, until the day a sudden twist in his life threw him through a loop. Now, as you can tell, my description is a lot more descriptive than this description, because you read this and the Webtoon could be about anything. You have no idea what the Webtoon is about. You don't know what his hobbies are. You don't know what he's disillusioned about. You don't know what this sudden twist is. And I guess the idea of being vague is that you don't want to reveal anything in your comic till the person reads it, but also if you're too vague to tell someone what the comic is about, they're not gonna want to read it. So this really should say, this guy is obsessed with the paranormal. One day when he's walking home from his job, he notices a real UFO in the sky, but he can't take a picture of it. And now there's a mysterious new girl in class. What'll happen next? Find out! But you know what I mean. Basically, describe what is happening that is interesting, and I know that it's giving away what happens in the first update, but that's fine because you have all of this that hasn't been spoiled for them. It's okay to tell people what happens in the first chapter of a comic. So anyway, that's my little review of Paranormal Panic. What do you think? I would also like to note that yes, the Ellie the Eliminator campaign is live. You can get your copy of this soon-to-be graphic novel of cartoonist joy. Simply check out the link in the description. So thank you guys for joining me for this review, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Program restart.